Welcome back, guys. This is part 4, and I'm still here with my bucket, so it's all good. Anyway, carry on now.
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
I've got a magic bucket as well.
He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
No, that is not true. I'll do what I want.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Yes, bucket. It's not dark room, you know. Try the door again. No. Fine, bucket, you have it your way. This is the dark room. Now I get it. Oh crap. Ah.
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket.
Okay.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
No, you're a freak bucket. I don't want nothing to do with this no more. They can keep ringing and ringing and ringing. Just gonna keep going in there. Ugh. One more time. Never mind.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and he was a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
But it can. Oh, come here. Thought it was a cinematic. Where's my bucket? Bucket. Oh, that's my bucket. So what am I supposed to do? Can't do nothing. There's my bucket. Fine.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Why am I going in reverse? They never go in reverse. There you are. Screw it.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
That is my Uncle Buck you're talking to. Tell him. Tell him. Me, man, don't go back to work, go back to work, go back to work, go back to work. I don't want to. Some points I'm going to refuse.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think.
But it's my bucket.
All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
So you want me to give up bucket? Oh, I can't get rid of Buck. He's my friend. Friend. My precious. I'll listen to the lab, man. Go back to home. It's just taking me back and forth. There's nothing else I can do.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to.
Wish.
Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Talk to him like that. It's nasty. I guess I have to pick up the damn bucket. Okay.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now
Nope.
on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty
He
bucket, this
moved.
sort of shiny bucket.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it
My
this.
shiny
It does
bucket.
have a nice shine to it.
It does. Splendid. Do you believe I'm real? Yeah, I do.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's
Bucket.
just a little more, what am I trying to say?
Book.
Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid.
Book.
Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Book. Oh, there you are. I don't. Do I? Do I? Do I wanna? Got another option.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's
My
literally
bucket.
just a bucket.
Mine.
Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
I know. I'm keeping hold of him, Belen.
Oh no.
It's getting
having
romantic
feelings
now. Ooh,
for the
that does
bucket.
it.
No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket?
I think I'm
Hear
gonna
what the bucket has to
fall in love
say.
with it.
Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand.
you
Perhaps
sexy,
if I
beautiful
had the
thing.
bucket,
Look
this
at
would be
you.
less confusing. Yes. The bucket
Damn.
could tell me what to do in this
Damn,
troublesome
girl,
situation.
look at you. Even though I said you use book. Oh, your bucket, right. Sorry, I didn't see you the first time, love. No wonder you made this get up all for me. Ooh, big cozy. Let me shut this door. Never mind, because anyone can just see. Look at you, you sexy little thing. Oh, come here, come to gas.
Stanley, give me
What?
the bucket. Give it to
No.
me. Give me the
Mine.
bucket, Stanley.
No.
I need it.
Keep
Give
the
it to
buck
me
away.
now. Give it, or I'll...
I close my eyes so I can see. Go back to your work, Stanley. No. What's happened to me being Jim? I want to be Jim. I'd rather be Jim. What time is it now? Oh,
All of his
late.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
My
Perhaps he had
days.
simply missed a memo.
I'm gonna kill this guy.
The
My bucket.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Yeah, baby.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Fuck you. I'll listen
This
to you
was
no more.
not the correct way to the meeting room.
Okay.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Yeah.
And here it
Yeah.
was. Had the
Yeah.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting
Nice in
room?
here.
Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
Mm-hmm.
How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
It's splendid. Go into this room now. Bye.
No, never mind. The
Bye.
bucket was wrong.
Yep.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
You know what? I'm gonna give Bucky back to
And so
that
the
closet
two
at
of
some
them
point, I
detoured
think.
through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
I guess you'd all know what's going through my mind right now. But, oh god, I can't. It's hard to fight. I don't want to go and do it. Fuck this, man, I'm out. Let me out of here. Me and Bucket are gonna break free from here.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your
Come
way
on,
here.
Bucket.
I knew you'd find this place eventually.
What the hell is this? Did we have a baby? You didn't tell me you was pregnant, girl. Damn, what
You
did
see,
we have a
your
baby?
friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley.
He's
We've come
gorgeous.
together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
Oh,
The
be
bucket
shut up
isn't
about the
even from the
bucket.
original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game,
Good
like the
about you,
Adventure Line
Stanley.
and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want
Ah,
from a
baby.
sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before.
Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Okay.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Does it?
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all
Hey,
about.
where's the
Don't you
music gone?
remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Hookers, yeah,
It's as
drugs
classic
now.
now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content
maybe
exactly
the other way
like this.
around.
But if
Dunno.
we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No, I am not giving up my bucket. Fuck you. Go down here, then you can't find me. More downstairs. Fucking knock it after that. Huh?
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
Oh,
This is the Bucket Destroyer.
no. Oh, no.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True,
That is
it
just
also was
horrible.
not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
No.
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket,
No.
and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No, she's not ready to go yet. Hey, baby. Huh?
Now listen to me. It's
What?
crucial that you give it the bucket. I
No.
don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't
No.
destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
Yes.
Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were
What
to
is going
really
on?
explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer
Bucket.
until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
I think I broke it.
Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the
Goodbye,
moment in
my
time
love.
that you were here, you were magnificent.
Yes. Goodbye. So, did someone mention hookers before? Guess not. Not even a hooker. Yeah. I hate Mondays. I hate every day.
All of his co-workers
Oh,
were
shut
gone.
up.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
What?
missed a memo.
How?
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With
How?
the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
I destroyed you.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Already done it. Everybody's going blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's just about press something. Ooh. A large room, lots of boxes. There's something to do with stairs. Some are both red and blue. Red and blue. Red and blue.
Coming to a
Right,
staircase,
there's something to do with
Stanley and the
stairs.
bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
Fuck
office.
you, I'm going down. Ooh, hello.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
I bet it will. Anywho.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
Nope,
That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as
No, just a heap of junk.
He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized,
it's just a
this
bucket.
isn't my bucket.
No.
It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How
I'll
did I
switch
end up
your
with
room.
someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong.
Yeah, I'll switch
Surely
your room,
no
telling
good
you.
would come from this.
What?
Who knows what
Where's
sorts
my
of
bucket
bizarre
gone?
hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket.
My bucket's gone.
Now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very
Yes.
normal. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh,
Ooh.
gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket! Could it truly be?
I'm coming.
He rushed forward from room to room, passing by
coming,
one
bucket.
bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
All lies.
Come to me, Stanley.
I'm
Find
coming.
me.
Coming.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend.
Buckets
It was the
everywhere.
only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from.
What?
The real bucket was inside of him all along.
Oh.
It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
So what?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
Was he holding
Right
a
away,
bucket?
she knew what the problem was.
He was holding a
This
bucket.
man had no bucket. Of
Oh.
course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything.
Look at her with the
she thought to
bucket.
herself, my
She's
life
lucky.
kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
back for it to work. You know. I'm still in this office.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
They never do.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Come on,
Stanley
bucket.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Maybe forgot. Listen to him on that one. Come on, say something.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Oh my days, this guy's got issues.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yeah, man. Let's go see this waste of space. Stop open. Let me in. And then on the wall. Don't know why I go in there. Never out in there. Right, yeah. Let me go down now. I have to get it dead on. Sure, this is something. I think this is just broke. Let me out. That is food. Well, it was a waste of my time.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Fuck off, I've done it so many times, bro.
Was the bucket guiding him?
Dumbass.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Logical. That's a reindeer. Well, it's only logical. This is nice and creepy.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
You know, fuck you, bro.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
No, me and Bucket will be safe, though.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
God, this guy never shuts up.
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very
Bucket,
painful death for each
ignore him.
of them.
Do we carry on? Do we go back? What do we do? Forward. Right, okay, fine. We'll kind of go forward then. Right. No, we can't go back now. Look how far we've come. Look, we're stupid. Right. And hooray! Am I dead? Am I dead? I can't see whether I can
As the
move.
machine
Oh,
whirred into motion
crap.
and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their
Oh,
demise,
fuck.
Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's
Um,
warmth and comfort had turned out to be.
Bucket you a
To
lot
be
of
sure,
use.
it puts the mind and the soul at ease to
Ah,
embrace the bucket.
ah,
But what
ah,
use is a
ah,
sense of
ah.
ease when you're about to be crushed to death?
I don't
This
get
is
it.
what Stanley thought to himself, and he
Let me
sort of
on, let
kicked
me on.
himself for wasting so much time
So much I've
carrying
never
the
done.
bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh, bollocks. Right, no, fuck it, I'm hiding. No.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a
Yeah.
single visceral instant,
I'm
the
duck
bucket's
anyway.
life came to an end, as it
Bye,
was crushed
bucket.
violently
We die
to death.
together. Wait, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's
Just
true
so we're
that
not
all
dead.
buckets are radiant in their own way,
Am I
but
dead?
this one stood above the rest. It was a
Can't
glorious
be dead.
bucket to behold.
That was a very, very dark room. Oh. You lived a very good life. What's that neighbour doing next door? Sorry if you can hear noise in the background. It's neighbour next door doing something
Can
in
you
his
see
house.
how
Don't know what.
arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than
Oculars.
Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Cheeky bitch. Whatever she just said, I didn't like. I have to really go into detail about this bucket. Love buckets. That's a bucket. Damn, that's an old bucket. Can I take it? No. Well, if it's not nailed down, I'll take it. What the fuck? Is that like a drone? Drone pissing something out. They catch it in the precious bucket. And they feed the animals. What's that cunt doing? He's like, oh, I've got my water. Fuck this shit ammo. Damn, son. Ooh, don't move.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one.
What you saying?
It
I'm
is
not good
man
enough.
who should kneel before the bucket.
I'm not kneeling for. Oh, it's right above that hole. Fine, I'll kneel. And it did nothing. What the hell? Feck it. Oh. Okay, this is weird.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
What would that be, my dear?
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine.
Oh,
Don't
no,
reset
Rocky it
the
again.
game. Don't give him another
Oh,
opportunity
bollocks.
to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and
me off.
implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as
Protect him,
leader,
protect him.
as commander of a new world, a new
I don't want to
vision.
die. Ah! Beginning to think this bucket is nothing but bad luck.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
He never said that before. Why is he not jamming on about people disappearing? Peculiar.
The good
Yoink.
old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Whirlwind adventure.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
No.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, I went through there before, didn't I?
And so the two of them
I
detoured
went down
through
there
the
before.
maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Yes, sir. Down here, then, pet. What's down here? Nothing. Typical. Me and my bucket can do anything. Anything, I tell you. What the hell? Just a companion. Okay. I've not ticked anything off over. So both red and blue. A large room, lots of boxes. They said there wouldn't be a surprise for it if we find them all. Says there is, it isn't, and it says there is. Oh.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because
No.
I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But
It's
alas,
alright.
coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
What do you do? Go down.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
Yeah.
He'd be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone
Because I want to tell him to his stupid
his boss
face.
would think he was crazy.
I'm okay,
And
I've got my bucket.
something occurred to Stanley.
Oh.
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these.
No,
He
he's just
held
staying
the bucket
quiet.
close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did
I'm
I
gonna
end
wait
up
here
with
for
someone
him to keep
else's
walking through
bucket?
doors.
This is all terribly
Let him
wrong.
finish
Surely
jabbering
no
on.
good would come from this. Who
No,
knows what sorts
bucket.
of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he
Yes.
felt himself floating off the ground. Oh,
Should
gracious,
be over again.
he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
I'm coming, you
Could it truly
fuckhead.
be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Did you guys see that? The bucket's all lit up in a white room.
This is the story
With
of a
no
woman
way of
named
going.
Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular
Oh, I
day,
got
her
it,
walk was
Dad.
interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right
I don't
away,
really
she
know
knew
where
what the
it can
problem
go.
was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion
to
and it's
really
all
think
just
about
a
this.
video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket
One
with him.
of the missions,
Perhaps he didn't even
you find
realize
a
he'd
room that was
forgotten his
red,
bucket
white
at home
and
in the
blue.
first place.
Or red
How
and blue,
cruel
either
the
one.
world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her
there's
own
another.
bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time
Does
for
something to do
this.
with the stairs?
There were
Well,
a myriad of confusing
not
problems
a
she
clue.
would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket
Can I
would
skip this?
provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Well, isn't she a bitch then? I need to know. Oh, I got my bucket. Oh, I went
The
to
meeting
the
room. Yes, that's
bucket
where everyone would be.
destroyer.
Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from there...
I think that's where I need to go.
The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled.
Oh, so we're
Anywhere they
talking
went
now, is it?
together would be perfect. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
Let's
entered
think.
the door on his left.
No, listen. Blah, 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 blah. That's pointless.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
It said something about the stairs. I did find a figurine there. But it would have marked off as ticked. Let's go back up. Obviously, I was checking here. Guess there's another toy. No. Boom. What is it with this lift, though? Press up. Stanley. I heard that. Stanley. Stanley. No, just open up. Useless sucker shite.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley
And
was
I'm
once
gonna
again stunned to discover
this
not an
wrong
indication of
on
any human
purpose.
life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos.
Cheek.
It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual
Come on,
connection he
get on with
shared
it.
with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Alright, see you in a bit. Try pressing up there. Right. Me back
Stanley
here.
and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
I'll have to go
Mind
through that.
Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Where's this one?
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped. monitored like guinea pigs.
Like
The
perverts.
bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
And then this one.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well?
No.
Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
We are good,
What
bruh.
kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's
Your
head.
questions are fucking stupid, mate.
No! He screamed into the bucket.
Oh.
He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except
No one.
for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
The balls of it
happy
all.
Or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Ooh, terrible.
For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good.
Once and for
Two
all.
best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
Yeah.
They high-fived in a really cool way.
Yeah.
And the bucket made a sassy comment about
Yeah.
taking down the system.
Off we go. I remember I turned it
Stanley
on
and the bucket
before.
waited in blackness. Was it over?
Can it be?
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom
But
was now
the end
mere
is never
moments
the
away.
end.
Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one
Weird.
they lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and What?
Well.
Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering
This is
in
awkward.
uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Son of a
The facility
bitch.
itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
I heard a bird tweeting as well.
The bucket.
Well, it didn't, but...
Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it.
This
Stanley
sucks.
realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket.
Yeah,
Trapped
I got
eternally
my
in
bucket.
darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to
I
himself.
just can't
As long
see
as I
shit.
have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Da, da, da. Oh, nuts.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. A good bucket. A strong
Good bucket,
A
good,
humble
good
bucket.
bucket.
A committed bucket.
He's the best
A bucket
bucket.
of culture and distinction.
This bucket knows what he wants and it goes for it, you know what I mean? He's a go-gesser. It's just not the same room. That was different.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
That's what
entered the
I
door.
wasn't too, yeah. Right. Still the same. Large room with lots of boxes. Some were both red and blue. Some were. It was a large room. Large room with lots of boxes. Let me check out what colour room it was on about again. I ain't drumming in my head. Red or blue, red or blue, red or blue, red or blue. Right. Hello.
Stanley, we must move
I
on from
know.
this broom closet, simply
always
because
do
I have
this,
no
shut up.
remaining... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Go to the whole mind control thing again. I need to try and get to
Stepping
that
into his
bloody
manager's
thing.
office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer
Damn
luck.
straight I did.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket
Shut the
guiding
fuck
him?
up about the bucket.
Yes, this
It's
is
all
certainly
me.
the most logical
Me.
explanation.
I did it. Gazman. Right, let's go on. Again. Well, lift music stuck in my head. Oh shit. Things have been breaking down.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that
Yeah,
read
we did.
Mind Control Facility.
Yeah, we did. I'm gonna turn the damn thing on. Think.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Turn this damn thing on,
What
see what happens.
horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Maybe if I
Jumped to
get
life, and Stanley nearly
to
dropped
the
the
bucket
in
crusher
shock.
and just
Everyone in the
refuse
office
not
was
to do
being
it, not to crush
videotaped,
it,
monitored like guinea pigs.
see what happens.
The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as
Come on.
Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Bring on the pawn.
Was the bucket under the
Just
mind
never
control
pawn.
facility's
Bugs me.
influence as well?
Never,
Had the
never,
bucket
never,
been told
never,
to do
never,
things
never.
it
I
didn't
think I'm
wish to
going
do?
insane anyway.
What kinds of things does a bucket want to do?
I
or
don't
not
know,
want
but
to
I
do
feel like
in the
Groundhog
first
Day.
place? These questions raced
Just
furiously
me and
in
my bucket.
Stanley's feeble mind.
No, Shoto.
He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His
Yeah.
one friend in the entire world.
Yeah.
At this point, he could trust no one
No.
except for the bucket.
Yeah. Go, go, go.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
The heart of
or
it
sad, or
all.
content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery
figurines are
would
out
never
there
again
near
exert
her.
its terrible power over
No, I don't
another
think so.
human life. For he and the bucket
Oh,
would
shut
dismantle the
up.
controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the
What
world.
do I do? Turn it
They
on, turn it off?
high-fived in a
No,
really
turn it
cool
on.
way.
Yeah.
But at the last second, the
Shut the
bucket
fuck
jumped
up.
in and pressed the button to turn on the controls.
Naughty
Stanley
bucket.
gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust.
You're just trying to
when
make me turn
suddenly
against me bucket,
an image
aren't you?
appeared upon the enormous screen.
Lies.
Birds. Silly birds.
Where am I looking? Right.
The control buttons became active again.
Do it really have to push them?
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And
Can we
Stanley
speed this
was
on?
happy.
And then I'm doing something wrong, don't know what.
A
Really
soft
don't
wind
know.
blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Yeah, because I've never seen weather in my life.
The embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Come on now,
Stanley
buddy.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This
Not
was
listening
not the
to him
correct
no
way
more.
to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was
Yeah.
simply the place to be.
Yeah.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
I just remember
How
about red and blue
insightful the
roll.
bucket
This
turned
is
out
just
to be.
blue.
No, never mind.
The bucket is wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
Oh, no,
the
bucket
cargo
again.
lift, yes. Go there. Go to... Good, said the bucket.
What
Now
happens if
ride
I
the
jump
lift
off?
all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
No.
He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
I'm probably gonna regret that. With a lot of boxes. Just counts as a lot of boxes. I don't think the narrator knows where I am. So nothing in there, loads of boxes. Nothing, is there? Oh, no. Nothing. Narrator's fucked off, he's gone home.
No, stop.
Oh.
Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign
What?
right there.
What?
It says, no buckets past this point.
Dickhead.
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here?
I don't know where I am.
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which,
You're a
if
dick.
that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly.
Right.
So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Do I have to? Okay. Where the hell am I now?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay,
Right.
let's begin.
Yeah.
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Boom.
Incorrect. It is
What?
a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
You wanker. Fucking prick.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is
Yeah.
a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Surely this one's gotta be a bucket.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
What the hell?
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No, you just keep being absurd now.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay,
You
next
did
one.
that yourself, sir. Anywho. Dang, where'd you get the stuff these days?
Is this a bucket?
What the fuck are you doing, fella?
Incorrect.
Huh?
This is a bucket.
How? How? This game sucks.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
This is gonna be some kind of trick. Can't move, no. Screw it.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Oh, so I'm half right? I don't know.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere.
Come on, dude. There's nothing
Yes.
there, fella.
Thank you.
You're
There's
welcome.
nothing here. Of course
Dickhead.
it isn't a bucket. We
Ugh.
both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true.
Oh my God.
Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Don't be fucking stupid.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of
my
us know
days.
what a bucket is?
Nothing anymore.
I, a bucket?
You really are a bucket.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and
You're
myself
not a
was
bucket.
all I
You're not a
ever had
bucket.
to begin with.
Come on, my friend.
I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay,
Oh no.
here we go.
Don't do that. No.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
Do you
was
fucking tell
everything
me?
a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all.
You
And
really are a
Stanley,
bucket, my
you're
friend.
still here. You're
You're a
not
big
a bucket
bucket.
either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
Oh,
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now.
Good
It's
for you, fella.
delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what,
Oh
I'll
no.
reset everything, and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Oh, you're a son of a bitch. You're a son of a bitch. You're a son of a bitch. Oh no. Different room light. Well, anyway, the video's gonna end
All of his
soon.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
How? Alright. I'll cut this
When
off in a
Stanley
minute.
came to a set
So,
of 2 open
I'm
doors,
probably
he
better
entered
off
the
leaving
door on
this
his
here.
left.
Right, guys, this is a good time to end this. Gonna try and get to the next part in the next game. Well, it's a lot of fun, a lot of craziness, but we're getting further. We are getting further, guys. We're getting there. We'll figure out the mystery of the bucket and myself. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.